Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and today is the 30th of August, 2020, and I am broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica. So, we have another interesting and busy week ahead, but we're going to start with today because we had two significant aspects today. So, we had two oppositions today. One of them was early this morning at 9:27 a.m. Eastern Time, and that is the Venus-Pluto opposition. And unless Venus goes retrograde opposite Pluto, or nearing the opposition to Pluto, this only happens once a year. And it is a powerful aspect. It's an intense aspect. If you are a Venus-Pluto person, you are going to feel this. You are going to feel the relationships that you have. You're going to have like a review session of your relationships, or there's going to be something that comes up about your relationships in your life, because Venus rules relationships and Pluto is the deep, powerful connection you have to others as a result of your relationships. And one of the things that you are dealing with, and what we're all dealing with today, is, the powerful connections we have to each other. And one of the things I wanted to announce today is that I am doing a class, and it's called Opening Your Heart with Astrology. And it's going to start next Tuesday, the 8th of September, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And I figured I announced it I announced it last night when the moon went into Aquarius, and people were responding today as Venus-Pluto is in the air. And this is all about opening your heart. This is all about going deep and connecting with that part of yourself that needs to open. And one of the things that's so important about opening your heart, and this is one of the things we do under Venus-Pluto, is Venus-Pluto, it gives us the opportunity to open our hearts. And so one of the things that's really important to do, is open your heart, because it gets you into a better place emotionally and psychologically and also physically. And it's not an easy thing. It's not something where, you think, my heart's open. Of course my heart's open. And it's not necessarily the case. So we all can open our hearts more than we already have. And there are places where we are definitely closed. And, we all have varying degrees of heart openness and closedness and closure. And it's really something that's needs work in our society, especially since we are all in an isolation place. Since we've been isolated this year, since the intimacy is broken, you can't often see a smile on someone's face because they're wearing a mask. There's a lot because of this COVID crisis that has brought intimacy to a halt in some ways. So I'm trying to encourage more heart openness and compassion for others and for ourselves during this time. So we're going to do a lot of interesting things in this class. We're going to look at mythology. We're going to look at the individual astrology, the aspects to the moon and Venus. We're going to talk about nature and the relationship to nature and how it is crucial for opening our heart. We are going to talk about essential oils that are good for helping open the heart. All things that work on an emotional level. And just the importance of opening your heart and what it feels like. And I'm encouraging people to share their experiences. So it's going to be every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and it'll go for 90 minutes. And that will be a 10-week class. It will start on September 8th. So if you're interested, it's $150 for the 10 weeks, which is a great deal. It's only $15 a class. You get my attention. You get tools and tips and meditations and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to discuss what tools might need to get for helping yourself to open your heart. If you are interested in signing up, please go to my website, go to thegoldenastrologer.com, go to book online, and scroll down, and you will see the opportunity to sign up for the class. If you're interested and you're not sure and you want more questions, you can read about it on my blog, which is Astrologer's Thoughts. If you scroll down on the landing page of my website, you can click on Astrologer's Thoughts. It is the first and latest blog. Or you can write to me, info@thegoldenastrologer.com, and ask me about it and say you're thinking of taking it and you want more information. So, onward to today. Venus-Pluto is the opposition, and then the other opposition that we had later this afternoon was Mercury opposite Neptune. And that is a very spiritual aspect, and that is, the feeling of using your intuition and having a spiritual conversation and tuning into things that were being brought to you from, the quantum field, the meditative state, the psychic realms. And so Mercury and Neptune are deeply in a connection today. And it's interesting because Neptune is in Pisces, which is its own sign. And Mercury is in Virgo, which is its own sign. And, those signs are opposite each other. But this is really important because each of these planets is placed in its own powerful place in the zodiac. And so therefore, this is, connecting, speaking, articulating, talking has been a very important thing today. And, I connected with a dear friend today for a long time, and we had a very big, long conversation about many things. And we, it was a fulfilling conversation. And that is the kind of conversation you want to have during a Mercury-Neptune opposition. So, two oppositions in one day, there's a lot of energy flying around. So, talking about relationships, talking about people that we've connected to deeply, talking about our profound experiences, both with Venus, Pluto, and with Mercury, Neptune. This encourages deep conversations. So if you haven't had a deep conversation yet this weekend, perhaps you will tomorrow. There are not a lot of aspects tomorrow. The moon is in Aquarius, but what we've got coming up this week is a full moon on Wednesday, and it's 1:22 a.m. Eastern time, which means it's like 11:22 p.m. here. And the full moon is, again, it's Virgo and Pisces, because the sun is in the sign of Virgo, and Pisces is where the moon is, and this is at 10 degrees of each sign. And so it's important to pay attention to that Virgo-Pisces aspect, because the relationship between them, Virgo is very practical, Pisces is very spiritual, but they are healing. That is the healing axis in the zodiac, because Virgo is sort of the practical means of healing, going to the doctor, getting a checkup, going into a system, the details of your anatomy. But Pisces is the more spiritual realms of healing. It is also the ability to be a healer. Virgo takes care of their health. They tend to the details of their health. With Pisces, it's more, if someone's a doctor, then usually they've got a gift for healing. We hope, anyway, with the doctors that we see, we hope that they have a gift for healing. And that's what Pisces is about. It's a healing gift, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, psychological. You want your healer to be gifted, no matter where they are working with you, on your body or in your spirit. You want them to have that magical, almost, ability to recognize what's going on. So you want somebody really smart, and you want someone with a lot of heart and compassion. That is part of Pisces. And the other thing is that Venus is going to be very busy this week. So now we have Venus, Pluto. Now remember last week I said that Venus was going to start moving in the direction where, Mars is. Now Venus is in Cancer, Mars is in Aries, and it's been doing the same thing. It's been making oppositions where Mars is making squares to those planets in Capricorn, as we have talked about. Venus is making the opposition because she's in Cancer opposite Capricorn. So last week we had the Venus opposite Jupiter, and today we had the Venus opposite Pluto, and Wednesday we will have Venus opposite Saturn. So Wednesday's a bit intense. It's got a few things going on. We're going to have the full moon. And once the full moon is over, it's going to, later that evening, several hours later, the moon is going to greet Neptune. So it's a monthly thing where the moon greets Neptune, but it is in its own sign, and it will have just been full. So this is a powerful, intuitive day. One of the things that's also important is happening that day is the sun is trining Uranus. So the sun is in Virgo, because it's that Virgo kind of time of year, and Uranus is in Taurus, and it's in an early place in Taurus. So we are dealing with this big Earth trine, a lot of Earth again, flying around the heavens, a lot of Earth. The moon was in Capricorn the last couple of days before it went to Aquarius, and that was the 7th planet in Earth. So this week, it's good. We have some more water in the sky. Right now, there's air in the sky. We need that. We need this balance of elements. Tomorrow, the moon will still be in Aquarius, and then it goes into Pisces on Tuesday. But when it becomes full on Wednesday, it's going to accompany these other aspects. So it's going to, reach its, fullness. And it's the Virgo Pisces axis that we have every year. And I think it's the harvest moon because it's the time of harvest in the Northern Hemisphere. It's September. And that's right, September starts on Tuesday. September 1st is Tuesday. So this is Wednesday, September 2nd, that the full moon occurs, and then it will go join Neptune. And in the meantime, it's going to make very nice relationships to Uranus and Jupiter. Now, this is there's all sorts of grand trines going on because it's the sun and it's Uranus, and then there's the moon and Jupiter, and there's lots of trines in the sky, and the moon is going to be moving from one relationship to another. So the moon will move from Uranus, sextiling Uranus, and then it's going to be sextiling Jupiter, and we've got a lot of softer energy accompanying the full moon, and then that Venus-Saturn. Venus-Saturn is a little hard. It's, talk about opening the heart. Venus-Saturn really requires to pry our hearts open when we're dealing with Venus there. We are dealing with an enormous amount of closure with Saturn. Saturn doesn't want to be pried open. It wants to shut the door and has lots of reasons and very logical reasons as to why the door should remain shut on the heart. And if you are a Venus-Saturn person and you have a hard aspect, such as the opposition that we're going to have on Wednesday, you will probably feel this on Wednesday, but you'll also recognize where you have been shut off or shut down and where it's important for you to be opening your heart. And so it's a necessary thing. It also, opening your heart keeps you out of lack, and all sorts of lack, not just lack of, friendships and relationships or lack of love. It keeps you out of lack, the flow of abundance in your life if you open your heart. So it's very important to open the heart. So with Venus-Saturn, if you recognize that you are having difficulty with that, well, then come join our class. But also just being aware of how you're having difficulty opening your heart. And that, Venus-Saturn is a trust situation. It's where we are not trusting people or, situations ourselves, where we feel that we can't have faith and we can't trust things. And there are times when we have experience and we know a certain situation with certain people and specifics we should not trust. But we have to trust our gut, and we have to trust ourselves, and we need to be very aware of how we are, connecting with whether we are trusting or not. So your brain might shut everything down. Your brain might say, "No, I can't do that. I can't do that again. I've done this 1,000 times. can't do this again. But you have to be very, very aware of where it needs to, those trust issues need to melt, and they need to soften, and they need to become something other than, closing the door. So Venus Saturn makes us aware of where we are closed. Venus Saturn also, it can invite us to shut the door, and we have to do it with the full moon, and then, that's the sun opposite the moon, and then Venus is opposite Saturn. So there's a part of us that wants to protect our heart and not allow things in, people, situations, the love or the kindness or the compassion of another person. So we have to be warm and open, and sometimes it's a little harder to do that under a Venus Saturn. But I invite everyone to be consciously aware of how they are using that aspect. So as we move into Thursday, we've got Mercury trining Saturn. So Mercury will already be starting to trine Saturn on Wednesday. And you know what? Mercury in Virgo is doing a good thing. Mercury in Virgo is really helping us with that clump for Capricorn, that Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto situation going on in Capricorn. Anything now, because we're in Virgo and the Sun and Mercury are in Virgo, they are really helping us. Those planets are helping us move into a state where we understand them a little better. We are not, we're not closing the doors readily, where we are coping with this global situation a little better, perhaps, and things are starting to open up a little more. You're going to see things opening up. They're opening up here a little more. And it's just a very interesting time as, things start to trine later in the game. See, the last time that bunch of planets got trines, which are soft flowing aspects and provide opportunities, was back in Taurus. So that was back in April and a little bit of May. But we have the opportunity now to communicate more easily because Mercury is trining Saturn. And eventually, Mercury is trining Pluto as well Tuesday. So eventually we're going to see that this component of Mercury, it's been involved with Jupiter and Neptune and Tuesday Pluto and Thursday Saturn. You will get to see how we are communicating about the current events, but also how we are open to communicating with ourselves as to what we're experiencing, what we're going through as a result of that pile of planets in Capricorn. So I invite you to have conversations with those you love. The door is open to have conversations, and please, initiate a conversation with someone. If there are things that need to be ironed out or talked about, these are the times to do it. So, and on Friday, Venus will finally reach the point where it squares Mars. So now Mars is finished squaring that clump of planets in Capricorn and that cluster. And Venus is now, as she moves past this opposition to Pluto and then past her opposition to Saturn, she will then square Mars. And she's moving, and then so the relationship planets, this happened before earlier in the year, they were squaring each other, but Mars is starting to slow down because it's going to retrograde next Wednesday the 9th. And so it's interesting, we're going to see some relationship dynamics come forward this week with the full moon, with Venus's aspects. Venus is very busy. Today, Pluto, Wednesday, Saturn, Friday, Mars. Venus is very busy this week. So she's maybe in complicated relationships, but she's revealing stuff to us that's important. So we have to understand what's being shown to us and what's being revealed to us. Now, we have planets changing signs. So Venus, not only will she finish up her relationship to these Capricorn planets because she's in Cancer. And then she's squaring Mars on the way out of Capricorn, but she will go into Leo next Sunday at 3:22 a.m., which is the wee hours of the morning Eastern time. So Venus is going to like bang, 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 hit all these planets in Capricorn, then shake hands with Mars, sort of, maybe battle with Mars a little bit, and then move into Leo. And, neither of these signs are a problem for her. She's, Venus in Cancer is nice. It's a good place for Venus because it's a water sign. Venus in Leo is lovely because essentially where Venus is, it's going to be in a lively creative area. So when it spends these weeks in Leo, and it's going to spend the rest of the month there, it's going to really encourage our creativity and be a little sparkly, So Venus moves into Leo next Sunday the 6th. And Mercury changes signs and goes into Libra on Saturday. So Mercury and Venus, the inner planets, are very busy this week. So we've got action happening. Mercury is going into Venus's domain. And so he will answer to Venus. And Venus will be in Leo, which is the sun's domain. So when the sun is in Virgo, going back to Mercury. So this is what we call a ring disposition, and dispositorship is where planets are sitting and how they are speaking to one another and where they are sitting in the zodiac. So Mercury's in Venus's sign, Venus is in the sun sign, the sun is in Mercury's sign. So they're all going to talk to each other, Venus, Mercury, and the sun. And this is really important to pay attention to, because if, like, I'm a person with a ring disposition in my astrological chart, and depending on what you have, it's dispositorship in your astrological chart, you're either very direct or you are someone who is complex. And this is a complex vibe. This means that there are complexities and layers and channels and chambers and things to work through and work out. And it's so important to really pay attention to how we're relating, how we're communicating, how we shine, how we step forward and communicate. So that's another thing. So there's lots of stuff going on this week, and it is very interesting, and we are going to be continuing to be very busy. The energy is not letting up. It is not. And it's important to pay attention to how we're using our energy and how we can actually, use this Capricorn vibe that we've got going on all year to our advantage, instead of saying, oh, well, COVID ruined my business or my relationship life or my social life or my family life or something, or my kids are driving me crazy because they're home all the time. We're getting, Venus is coming in and opposing everything. And then Mercury is following close behind and trining the same planets. So wherever Venus goes, Mercury follows and smooths it over. So wherever, you may feel a relationship thing, Mercury comes in with communication. And then there's another relationship thing. And then Mercury comes in with communication. So this is what keeps happening. Today we had Venus opposite Pluto. Mercury trines Pluto on Tuesday. Wednesday we will have Venus opposite Saturn. Mercury trines Saturn on Thursday. This is a pattern that's happening. And eventually the sun will make these same trining relationships starting on the 9th to these Capricorn planets. So we are being allowed to see how this where the benefits are in this, where we can move ahead with this stuff, as opposed to being stuck with it and saying, you know what, this ruined my life. And you gotta, when you're handed lemons, you make lemonade. Okay. You use your lemons wisely. You make lemon meringue pie. You make lemonade. You make lemon custard when you're given lemons. So this is what we have to learn in this week ahead. How to turn it into something positive, or how to turn it into something interesting and good and beneficial to our lives. Trines are opportunities. They do not mean that it absolutely automatically happens. The opposition is when we get something, that's going to make us act, And, you know, the opposition makes us act, the trine smooths it over, provides an opportunity. And it's not something where we feel like we are stuck. So we have to use this energy. It's giving us opportunity to move it out. The other thing that is going to happen this month, and that is very important that I want to touch on, is that both Jupiter and Saturn are going to go direct from their retrograde states. So Saturday the 12th, which is not till, another couple weeks, Jupiter is going to go direct in Capricorn. And Tuesday the 29th, which is much later in September, it's really a month from now, Saturn will go direct. And why is this important? Why am I bringing it up? Because Jupiter and Saturn, as I have mentioned before, and maybe you've heard it through my other, webinars and things that I've given, Jupiter and Saturn are going to meet up and be together in Aquarius. And they're going to hit the 0 degrees Aquarius point on December 21st and conjunct together. And this is a very important aspect, and it is called in astrology the Great Conjunction. The last time this happened was May 2000. The time before that was 1980. It happens once every 20 years. This is not a typical aspect. This has been a non-typical year. It's an atypical year. So we had Saturn-Pluto, then we had Jupiter-Pluto, and then we're having Jupiter-Saturn. And so this is how we're going to end the year. And a couple of things about this are very, very important. Because these two planets are going to start moving direct, it means they're getting ready to have that great conjunction. So once Jupiter goes forward and then Saturn goes forward, we're going to start feeling the rumblings of their conjunction. And they are going, they went retrograde the same week back in May. It's the second week in May. And now this month, September, they are going to go direct a few weeks away from each other. It's very important because notice what starts to happen as a result of these planets moving forward. They are going to start giving you the story that we're going to experience the end of the year and into next year. Now, this is a very powerful aspect. Like I said, it only happens once every 20 years, and it usually is some sort of turning point. So we've had some turning points this year already, and this is yet another one. And I don't think that this indicates more COVID, but I do think it indicates more of the experience of the next chapter. And so one of the things that's important about this is that what are people talking about? They're saying that they don't know, and we don't know, and we are living in the unknown. And remember when the COVID thing really started to catch fire, and that was when Mercury was retrograde in Pisces. And if there's ever a sign that's about not knowing, it's Pisces. It's where we have to have absolute faith. And Jupiter is the original traditional ruler of Pisces. But when it meets with Saturn, as it will in December, it gives us pause. It isn't the, hey, Jupiter, I can feel it, and it's going, it's going forward, and it's going to be an amazing thing, and this ride is going to be cool. No, it's been in Saturn's sign all year. And then it's going into Aquarius, which is also kind of a Saturn sign. But really, Saturn and Jupiter, when they come together, say you have to have faith when there's no reason to. You don't overblow your faith. So Saturn tempers it. Saturn gives you a little bit of a slowdown. It says, I really don't know what's going to happen. And this is where have been saying, all of us have been saying, well, we don't know. We're still living the unknown. We're still living the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen, what COVID is going to bring, what this is going to manifest. A lot of these things are not sustainable. A lot of this, the way they're doing things, they're reacting, the governments, that means, and the powers that be, are reacting in a way that is they're just trying to do the best they can because they don't know what else to do to prevent it getting more intense. So when we say we don't know, we have to have faith. And wherever the 0 degrees Aquarius lands in your chart, take a look. And if you don't know, go get your chart read. And understand where this Jupiter-Saturn is going to happen because it's crucial. It really is. If you're Aquarius or Aquarius rising, this is paramount in your life. And as my former teacher, who I've been in touch with recently, has said to me, it's all about Aquarius now. It's all about Aquarius. And by the time this month ends, you will feel that it's going to be all about Aquarius, or this conjunction. So pay attention and have faith. We have to have faith right now. And Jupiter Saturn tells us that we have to have faith even when we don't feel like there's a reason to have faith. Usually something manifests and we go forward in a brand new way. Pardon me. We go forward in a brand new way. So on that note, this has been the Golden Astrologer Podcast. I'm Deb McBride. My website is thegoldenastrologer.com. My Instagram is the Golden Astrologer, where I put almost daily videos up about the current astrology, and you get to see me discuss whatever happens that particular day. Now, once the day is happening, I'm more in tune with exactly the vibe and how it's feeling, and so I try to give help to people that way on Instagram. If you would like to book a session with me, go to my website and go book online. I hope you will join me in my heart-opening class. We are going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating, and you will come away from it with your heart more open, and you'll learn how to know when your heart is closing and when it is opening, and how to keep it open, and when to be protective but open. And that's really important, especially right now. It's so important. So I thank you, and I have much gratitude for all of you for listening. And please continue to listen and stay tuned, as many things are coming forward. Have a beautiful week.